Okay, so this is my first video post on my blog creativeflyfishing.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to tie one of my favorite Caddis adult dry flies, which looks like that. The main thing with this fly is really the wings, and the front body you can tie in quite many different ways using deer hair, CDC, or a combination of both. This is based on CDC feathers, which are naturally floatant, and this 1mm foam black, and Swiss straw. And if you're familiar with the similar kinds of materials from before, you know that this is quite fragile. You can peel pieces off quite easily. And so I wouldn't recommend using this kind of material by itself, but if you laminate it together with foam, it makes some really good flies. And the trick to this is to glue the Swiss straw together with the foam using super glue, and this is a PowerFlex formula, which means that it remains flexible when it hardens, in contrast to some other super glues. So I'll start by making the wings, and so I'll cut a piece that will cover the size of the wings. Like that, and the trick to this one is that you fold it in two, and then you cut a groove in the middle, which doesn't go all the way through, it just creates a groove, and then when you fold this over to the other side, it forms this very characteristic V shape that for the Caddis wings. And now you can cut the shape, which essentially means 3 cuts. The last one needs to be completely straight. You'll understand why in just a moment. Something like that. So now that's how your wings will look like, with the groove in the middle. You'll put this down on your table with the underside towards the table. The underside is the one with the groove. You'll take a piece of this Swiss straw and you fold it out like this in preparation, and then what you do is that you can hold this with your nail just at the front end and apply some super glue in a thin layer. And then what you'll do is you apply this one onto the glued surface and just pinch it down. So it looks something like that, and then you'll also apply. So now essentially what you could do is that you can pinch these together, and then you can cut the Swiss straw into the shape of wings. But what I like to do is to make it even stronger, is I like to apply glue on the underside as well, and then fold over these. In order to do that, I do some preparation. So I fold over the straw and follow the groove with my scissors, so I can cut the right shape, doing this on both sides, like that. And I'll apply some glue. and then I'll fold over. And this is why you need to have a straight edge. On the longest edge, like that. And now you can fold over everything and cut the shape of the wings. And I always keep a couple of millimeters of straw behind the foam. Makes a bit more realistic look. Like that, and we're done with the wings. Okay, any kind of dry fly hook with a wide gape will work for this fly. Make sure it's not too big though. It should be about 2/3 of the size or the length of the wing. I'll take 2 smallish CDC feathers. This is naturally grey, undyed CDC. Tie it at the back. Tie it in about half of the length of the hook. Like that. And this CDC will help to create an air pocket inside the wings, which will help it to float longer, better on the surface. So what you want to do is you want to make sure these are angled upwards so they're pushed against the wings when you tie in the wings. And now you can just take a bit of CDC and dab it on your thread. The thread can be any thin thread in most sort of earthy, dull colors. Okay, that's enough. Like that. And then I'll tie in the wings. Alright, looks good. And we'll now tie the front body. For that I'll make a dubbing loop. Use a dubbing twister. And for the legs I'll use deer hair. I believe this is called coastal deer. And I'll just take a small piece, I'll prepare that, and you stack it so the tips are aligned. So something like that. And then I want about 1 centimeter length, so I'll cut off the rests like that. And I'll put it inside the dubbing loop. Here you need to be careful, it's quite easy to mess this up. Spread it out a little bit and then spin. And here you can spin quite hard because the fibers are very thick. Okay, so that's how it's going to look like. Oh, I need to go forward with this one to the head. And then I'll tie this in, folding back the fibers as I go along. that. Right, and then I will whip finish. And apply some head cement, wash. And that's it, and now we just need to do some trimming. And what you want to do is you want to cut on top and bottom, so you have mostly fibers going to the sides, and this will help the fly to attain the correct position on the water surface. Like that. You won't see this. You can take my word for it. I'm cutting off the fibers underneath. If you don't do this, and if you only do make a CDC front body, then most likely the fly is going to lay on the side against the water surface. It will still fish really well, but I think it will be even better if it could stay with the belly towards the surface, like that. And that's pretty much the finished product. I'll show you with this. It looks quite nice on the bottom side as well. You don't want these CDCs to extend too much below the wings, because that will also keep the fly from floating in the correct position. So I cut some of that off, like that. Okay, and particularly in Sweden during the summer months, there is this small grey caddis, adult caddis that looks exactly like this, that can exist in very, very big swarms, and during those days, especially if it's warm and low water, the fish can be very selective, and this is one of the flies to go for in those situations. And that's it. Thanks for watching.